What's up, guys? Jordan McAbee here, fantasyracingonline.com, home of the Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest. And today we're going to talk about Pocono, the doubleheader this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, Saturday and Sunday race this week at Pocono. If you play the Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest, which I'm going to assume that if you're watching this video, you probably do, but maybe not. So how this is going to work is Saturday's race will lock as normal. You make your picks. It'll lock. I'll score the race when it's over. The starting lineup for Saturday's Pocono race was set by the qualifying metrics that NASCAR uses. How they're going to set the starting lineup for Sunday's race at Pocono is it'll be a top 20 invert. So the top 20 finishers in Saturday's race will basically start in reverse for Sunday. So the guy that finishes first is going to start 20th. The guy that finishes second on Saturday is going to start 19th on Sunday, and vice versa. The guy that finished 20th on Saturday is going to start first on Sunday. And then 21st through 40th finishers are 38. There's 38 cars this weekend. On Saturday will start 21st through 38th on Sunday. So what's going to happen with the Slingshot game is Saturday, everything will lock as usual. And then Saturday night, once the race is complete and everything's scored, I will back up the pick page, and you can then make your picks for Sunday. If you don't make your picks for Sunday, whatever picks you made for Saturday will roll over because the driver salaries aren't going to change between these two races. So if you just make sure you make your picks Saturday, and then you'll be good for Sunday. At least you won't get a zero if you don't make picks on Sunday because they will roll over. This is the only situation where this happens with this game. Every other week you have to make picks. This weekend you just have to make sure you have Saturday picks in, and then those will also count for Sunday. Obviously you can change them if you want, but you do have a little bit of a safety net there. As far as this weekend's race, it's already halfway through the season. So this is race number 18. And then Sunday's race will be race number 19, already getting us, going through or already halfway through the actual season of NASCAR and chugging right along. So as far as what to expect, so obviously we'll go through the typical numbers that I like to go through and look at that. Pocono it's going to be very, I think it's going to be, there could be some surprises Sunday. Obviously Kyle Larson's on the pole after his dominating race at Nashville last weekend. You can see the starting lineup here on the screen. Kyle Larson is starting on the pole, William Byron second, Kevin Harvick third, Logano fourth, Kyle Busch fifth, got Ross Chastain, who almost stole a win at Nashville last week. I was kind of hoping for that. He's starting 6th, Stenhouse 7th, Kurt Busch 8th, Christopher Bell 9th, and Denny Hamlin 10th. As far as big-name drivers, with those place differential potential for Saturday's race, we got Chase Elliott starting 29th, Ryan Blaney starting 27th. And then your typical, Stuart Haas guys, Chase Briscoe and Cole Custer starting 28th and 26th, respectively. As far as, what to expect. So, first, if you didn't know, myself and Rotodoc released the first episode of the Stacking Denny's podcast. It went up on Wednesday morning. We're going to try to make that a weekly thing where we sit and talk about NASCAR and talk about the upcoming race, talk about the week before and all the big stories when it comes to this sport. Make sure you check that out. A lot of great info in there as far as Pocono. We really, dug deep and talked about a lot of drivers. But so Pocono is a 2.5 mile flat track. It's pretty flat. There's basically 3 turns. And when it comes to, setting the car up, basically from like what we've heard in the past is crew chiefs are basically concerned with getting 2 of the corners good. And then, that's, if they get 2 good, then they're happy. These are 3 distinctly different corners, and if you can get 2 of them, dialed in, you're doing well. So As far as comparable tracks this year, there's nothing. So, tire-wise, Goodyear is bringing the left sides from Darlington and Homestead this year, and then the right sides will be from Auto Club last year. So the only comparable track to Pocono is Indianapolis. It's another big 2.5 mile track, flat track. They're the only comparable tracks when it comes to. It's the only comparable track when it comes to Pocono. Just because they're both so big, they're both so flat. What's important here at Pocono is having a strong engine. The high horsepower, it's a very high horsepower track. You got to make a lot of speed to run well here. And then you have to have the driver talent to get around these three distinct corners. We see a lot of, you don't see a lot of guys like dominating per se, I guess is the best way to put it. There's a lot of strategy that typically plays out in these races. You know, it's such a big track that you can pit, you can take a gamble on pitting and pit early in the stage or pit right before the stage ends and then stay out at the stage break and get track position that way. There's a lot of variables that go into this race. And then it all just comes down to having a very strong car. Another thing this week is the best driver. So we haven't been at Pocono and Indianapolis for almost a full year. So we really have no recent data, you know, as far as this season goes. Obviously, we know that Hendrick Motorsports is very strong. And I kept mentioning, you know, if you watch my videos for any length of time, I kept mentioning how, you know, around race, somewhere between race 10 and 14 is when we see a shift in speed where drivers or teams either gain some on competitors or lose some. And Hendrick was, I think we can all agree that Hendrick was, if not the top one, they were right there with Joe Gibbs Racing, you know, at the beginning of the season. And then that time period hit, and now it seems like Hendrick is head and shoulders above everybody else. Gibbs has lost some, Penske's lost some. Chevrolet is definitely flexing its muscles right now, especially with the Hendrick cars. Lost my train of thought there for a second. Now, what makes this really interesting is that Pocono has been a Gibbs track. The Gibbs cars have ran really well here, and it's also been a Stewart-Haas track. Stewart-Haas, Eric Almirola led the most laps in one of the races here last year. Kevin Harvick finished top 2 in both races last year. Will we see that those teams kind of come back, I guess, this week? You know, we saw Stewart-Haas look pretty decent at Nashville last weekend. Like I said, they've been very good here at Pocono, and we don't really know. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what to fully expect this week when it comes to Pocono, just because we have no recent data to really go off of. So before we dig into these Pocono numbers, I'm going to pull up my algorithm predicted finishing order. Surprisingly, it does not have Kyle Larson projected to finish first. It has Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick and Larson all top 3 and all neck and neck. You see, if you look at the power index number here, super close between all of them. A lot of that is, I would say it's overvaluing Harvick and Hamlin a little bit, just because they have been so strong on these track types recently. You know, like if you throw in Auto Club, if you throw in Indianapolis, you throw in Pocono, those guys are always strong. Now, as far as recent speed, we've seen those guys not be as strong this year. But when you take into the full account, the full history, it makes sense why the algorithm likes them this week. William Byron projected to finish 4th. Surprisingly, it had Logano projected to finish 6th. That was one that really stuck out to me as the surprise this week is Joey Logano projected to finish 6th. He doesn't have the greatest record here, but he is decent. He you know, he's finished well in the stages. Rounding out the top 10, it's got Alex Bowman projected to finish 7th, Chase Elliott 8th, Martin Truex Jr. 9th, and Brad Keselowski 10th. Looking at data from Pocono over the last 2 years, so 2019 and 2020, best average finish over those 4 races is Denny Hamlin at 2.5. And then we got Keselowski and Eric Almirola tied at 7.5, Kevin Harvick at 7.8. Boyer was very good here. Again, Stewart-Haas. 7.8. And then William Byron, who is putting together just a great season this year. I don't think enough people are talking about it. It's another thing we went through in the Stacking Denny's podcast. Make sure you check that out, by the way. I'm going to plug it a couple more times because I want you to check it out. I really think that you guys are going to like that content that RotoDoc and I have. I think we work really well together. I think we bring a lot to the table, and it's fun, and I think you'll like it. So you can listen to it on YouTube. You can go to Spotify. It is on Amazon. I'm still waiting approval for Apple and Google, but we'll get there, and you can watch or listen to them on all those devices. So when we sort this Pocono data from 2019 and 2020 by average running position, it's Hamlin, Harvick, Larson, who did not run the 2020 races, but he had an average running position of 8.5 over the two 2019 races. And then Kyle Busch. Nobody else has a average running position sub 10th, which is noteworthy. Like I said, there's a lot of strategy that comes into these Pocono races. So in addition to us not really knowing and not having comparable data for this race, there's also the strategy aspect of it that you can't really predict, which guys are going to gamble when it comes to pit strategy, which guys are going to try to gamble for the win. So this isn't super speedway like randomness, but there's definitely some in there, and I think it'll be a very good race. I think there's a lot of drivers on the table to pick this week. It's just nailing down which ones are you going to go with those that have the great history here at Pocono, or the ones that are fast now that maybe don't have the greatest history. For example, Chase Elliott, he has an average finish of 17.8. Over the last 4 Pocono races, his average running position of 14.4. He starts back in 29th, I think. After that disqualification at Nashville, do you pick him because of the place differential potential? Or, if he finishes 15th, yeah, it's going to be decent place differential points, but he's not going to get you those finish points for his price. Another thing to consider this week is, like I said, it is a high horsepower track. So I honestly, as weird as this sounds, and not to add on to the randomness part of it, but I go back and look at like the Daytona 500 and which teams seem to have more speed than expected, I guess, is what the best way that I can put that. So over the last however many years, it's always been Ford. Ford has had the best engines when it comes to speed. I think this year in Daytona, I think we saw Joe Gibbs Racing really rise up and be faster than expected in the Daytona 500, and they worked really well together. And like I said, it doesn't translate to Pocono super well, but it still does because this track comes down to engines so much. That's another reason why, the backmarker cars probably aren't going to be very good picks this week, because we're not going to see many wrecks. We shouldn't see many wrecks. And they're not going to randomly pass the better teams. And then, like I said, as far as engines go, it's been Ford for a while. Toyota looked really good at Daytona this year. And then, now Chevy seems to be up here. As far as the actual package that they're running this week at Pocono, it is the 550 horsepower package. This year, best average finish in the 550 intermediate package races, Kyle Busch at 4.4. Obviously, Kyle Larson at 5.4, who's just dominated. This column over here, M, this is DraftKings Dominator points, so you can probably ignore that if you want. But William Byron up there. Denny Hamlin's been strong. Austin Dillon's been really strong. Harvick's been decent. When it comes to average running position, Kyle Larson just blows everybody out of the water. Over 5 races, he has an average running position of 2.6. Next best is William Byron at 6.0, and then there's another gap back to Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin at 8.1 and 8.4. So yeah, that's where we're at as far as the data goes. Let's take a look at, so like I said, Indianapolis is the most recent track, or the most comparable track to Pocono. Let's take a look at this first. So like I said, left side tires are being the same ones used from Darlington this year and Homestead. So we'll take a look at the green flag speed from those two races. So Darlington, that was ran with a 750 horsepower package. So you really have to take this with a grain of salt. Plus the fact that it's super high wear. It's a super high wear track. Pocono isn't super high wear like that. And the same thing with Homestead. It's another super high wear track. Plus, Darlington's 1.3 miles. Homestead's 1.5 and Pocono's 2.5. So not super similar, but we can still take a look at these speeds. Almirola, this is Darlington this year. Almirola, I think he wrecked out early. I'm pretty sure he did. He finished 37th. So that's why his green flag speed is so much higher. But Truex, absolutely dominated that race and had green flag speed about a mile and a half faster than even Kyle Larson, who finished second. Denny Hamlin was up there. William Byron, top 5. Joey Logano was strong. He ended up finishing 13th. Kyle Busch up there. Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell. I do like Christopher Bell this week, by the way. And then Kevin Harvick. Looking at Homestead, I know Kurt Busch pitted late, and that's probably why his green flag speed was higher than everybody else's. But Byron, who dominated the Homestead race this year, I'll say he had the best green flag speed in this race. Keselowski was up there. Truex, Larson, Chris Buescher, who was surprisingly very good. Again, Joey Logano had strong green flag speed. Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, Alex Bowman. So looking at these numbers and taking into account, just how things are going right now when it comes to Hendrick, it's going to be hard to bet against definitely Kyle Larson and probably William Byron this week when it comes to who's going to be the guy to beat at Pocono. I think, Harvick can make a case. Logano could probably make a case. Maybe Kyle Busch. But really, I think we're looking at, it's hard to, Hamlin, he's always strong at Pocono. But yeah, it's just going to be hard to beat those Hendrick Chevrolets, especially with how they're running now. I mean, it's borderline ridiculous how fast they are right now. We'll take a look at, where's Indianapolis at right there? So this is the Indianapolis race last year. We'll take a look at the green flag speed. So green flag speed. Remember, this year they're now racing at the Indianapolis road course. So this is the last race that was on the actual big Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Christopher Bell, number 1 in green flag speed. With him being 2 miles an hour faster than everybody else, there's something weird happened there. Denny Hamlin had an issue in that race. Had very good green flag speed though. Kevin Harvick obviously won it in that patriotic Busch Light paint scheme. I did love that car, how it looked. Chase Elliott was up there. Matt Kenseth actually had a very good race, finished second. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, again, Eric Almirola was strong. Kurt Busch, Cole Custer. Stewart-Haas Racing was very strong on this track type last year. So you got Harvick 3rd, Almirola 8th, Custer 10th, Boyer 13th. We haven't seen that speed out of them this year, though. So it's another one of those, unsure variables is probably the best way to put that. That's Homestead. And let's go back and look at the two Poconos last year quick before we get to the picks of the Slingshot game. So first race last year again was a doubleheader with at Pocono, just like it is this time, and it had the invert. So first race, Almirola actually had the best green flag speed. Denny Hamlin was second. Logano, who wrecked out, I believe, finished 36th. He was third. So probably a little bit, you can discount that a little bit. Kevin Harvick up there, Kyle Busch, Blaney, Bowman, Truex, DiBenedetto was strong. Again, another Ford, Keselowski, Christopher Bell. All strong. The winner in that race was Kevin Harvick. Hamlin second, Almirola third. Almirola led the most laps in this first race. And then Christopher Bell was fourth. Going to the second race, Denny Hamlin won it. Kevin Harvick finished second, so they just flip-flopped from the first race. Kyle Busch wrecked this race. I remember that well. I had a lot of Kyle Busch that day. Keselowski was up there, green flag speed, as was Christopher Bell again, but he wrecked out as well. So asterisk there. Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, Matt DiBenedetto, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. These are the 2 Pocono races last year. And as you can tell, we had Hamlin and Harvick who dominated last year, most of the year. Eric Jones finishing 3rd in that Gibbs Toyota, Chase Elliott 4th, DiBenedetto 6th, Eric Almirola 5th. A lot of surprising and not common names finishing up front. That's what can happen here at Pocono. There can be surprises. It's not uncommon at all. Michael McDowell finished 8th in the first Pocono race last year. Cole Custer, Ryan Preece, both with top 20s. Just Matt Kenseth was strong in both. Now let's go ahead and let's make some picks for do some lineup construction for the first Pocono race Saturday. So how this is going to work as far as content goes, I don't know if I will have time to record a second video for the Sunday race. I should have plenty of time to do an article, like a write-up, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to do a video, especially if I do a second DraftKings video, as those are a little bit longer. But I'll try my hardest to get out the content. I hate these doubleheader weekends. They suck. They suck all my energy out, but that's just part of this little gig of providing NASCAR content for you guys. So safest picks as far as Saturday's race in the Slingshot contest, obviously Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, super safe. Both should have top 10 potential this week. You can throw in Denny Hamlin as a safe pick. Starts 10th. Should have top 5 upside at least. Truex starting 15th. Yes, he's in kind of a hole right now. Not running well, but it's hard to imagine that continues. Keselowski starting 18th. He's not great here at Pocono, but he can rattle off a top 10. And obviously, if you want to take the risk with top 5 starters, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, William Byron, Kyle Larson, it's hard to imagine at least, Byron, Larson, even Harvick and Kyle Busch not challenging for the win this week. So definitely, there's strategy there. So if you start your lineup if you go the heavy hitters, Hamlin, Elliott, Blaney, that leaves you 15,400 for the rest of your lineup. I actually, looking at the lower guys, I don't mind this lineup build at all. It's the first thing I gravitated to when I started tinkering with this. Like I said, you could probably go off of Hamlin and go to Truex or go to Harvick. Gets a little risky there, with the top 5 starters, but it's a route you can take. I'm very interested in. There's a few guys that I'm interested in. Ross Chastain, he starts 6th. I think he can be a very good sleeper this week. We talked about him for a long time in the Stacking Denny's podcast. I'm not going to go over what we went there. Check that out. Again, we talked about Ross Chastain. I think he can really surprise some people this weekend. He should be strong. And again, Matt Kenseth was super strong in this 42 car last year as well. But so one lower dollar guy that I like and I want to pay attention to this weekend is Eric Jones. Now, obviously, like I said, Pocono has been a Gibbs track, and that elevates certain guys' potential. Eric Jones, definitely one of those guys. The only 2 tracks that he was really a constant top 5 threat at were Pocono and Darlington. So you look at the last 5 races, he has 4 top 5s. In his 8 career starts here, he's finished 8th or better 6 times. You take out the 2 races that he had issues, and he's just strong as hell. Obviously, he has a equipment downgrade this year going to Richard Petty Motorsports, but at the same time, they do have that Chevy engine. So I don't hate Eric Jones this week. And the reason I'm pointing that out is there's just not a lot of low dollar guys that I love. Obviously you can go the safe route here, go with like a Chase Briscoe who starts 28th, Cole Custer who starts 26th. But I do like Eric Jones. I also like Daniel Suarez starting 14th. I think he's a solid low dollar guy. I think he has a better car, better engine than Jones, even though, they're both Chevys. But Suarez, very good here as well when he was with Gibbs. He had an 8th place run here with Stuart Haas. You can throw these 2 races last year when he was with Gaunt Brothers out the window entirely. And with how Suarez is running right now, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if he would get a top 10 here at Pocono on Saturday. So if we throw in, let's do Eric Jones. So that leaves you $8,300 with this lineup build. You can grab Eric Almirola. Yes, it's super hard to trust him, but if those Stuart Haas engines are still as strong as they have been, he's finished 12th or better here in 5 of the last 6 races. I know it's risky. I don't like going with it, but if I do this lineup, I'm going to go Elliot, Hamlin, Blaney. I'm probably going to go Almirola and then hit Jones, if I'm going with this. I think Buescher's on the table as well. In that Roush Fenway Ford, he's actually won here at Pocono before. If you remember back to 2016, it was that fog race where, fog, just ridiculous amounts of fog. He was leading, got lucky and won it. But you look at his recent races, he finished 10th in the first race last year, 16th, 14th, 17th. Buescher starting 25th, and for him to get a 15th place finish, that's going to be a really solid points day in this Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest. So I don't hate, going Buescher. That also opens the door for you to drop Jones and get Suarez if you wanted. Suarez starts a little bit higher than I'd like, but you don't have the cap to get up there to get to Chastain with this lineup build unless you go down and take off like Hamlin and go to Truex. Then you could afford Chastain. Or obviously, if you go off of Buescher and go to Stenhouse, but Stenhouse starts 7th. Don't like that at all. I'd rather go Buescher. Buescher's a very safe pick here, starting 25th. He has the place differential upside. And like I said, if you don't like Jones, you don't like Chastain, Briscoe should be decent, to get up to around 20th, 22nd, starting 28th. Not a great pick, I'd say, but definitely. I mean, he's not going to kill you. Even if he hits the wall and goes to the garage on the first lap, he's only losing, a few points as opposed to, if the same thing happens to Chastain in this game, he's going to really hurt your lineup if he finishes dead last on Saturday. But yeah, so obviously as far as Kyle Larson goes, I don't like him for Saturday. He starts first. Like I said, the stages can get really screwy here as far as strategy and everything. He's 12,700 this week. Do I think he can win? Yes. Do I think he can lead the most laps? Yes. Do I think he can possibly win both stages? Yes. But from a strategy perspective, I'm going to take the safer route. Go with guys like Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney. Guys with those solid, strong finishing potential, as well as the place differential potential. There's also Alex Bowman right here, who's 10,300, who's obviously a viable option there, along with Blaney in that price range. But I'm going to go the safer route on Saturday. If things go as expected with Larson on Saturday, he's probably going to start mid-pack on Sunday. He's obviously going to be a no-brainer pick with this game for Sundays. Like I said, the driver salaries will not change between these races, and we'll do the top 20 invert, and that'll be the starting lineup. So we'll know the starting lineup pretty much as soon as Saturday's race ends, assuming there's not a DQ like last weekend. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap this video up. Like I said, make sure you check out that podcast. As of now, it's on Spotify. It's on Amazon. It's on a few other random ones. Still waiting for confirmation. Still waiting for confirmation from Apple and from Google. But we'll be on there soon. Stacking Denny's, myself and RotoDoc talking NASCAR. I think it's great content. Thanks for listening to that. Thanks for watching this. And good luck with your picks this weekend in the Pocono doubleheader races on Saturday and Sunday. Don't forget that there's a race on Saturday. I know a lot of people do. Saturday, get your picks in. Good luck. See ya.